No veďme na to, ideme to prúdiť. 29.7.2025. Skontujeme najprv zvukovú stopu zvukera, či sedí. A Plečníka junior zomrel. No kde? A vysoká pravdepodobnosť, že zomrel. No veďme na to, ideme to prúdiť. Takže veľmi, veľmi smutné časy. Plečníka junior už nie je medzi nami. Ani 3 mesiace nežil chlapina. Je to strašné. Ako tak sa mi konečne podarilo stabilizovať situáciu, vyrovnať sa s tým utrpením a znova som naspäť na začiatku utrpení, znova som tam namočený. Dobre, 29.7.2025 máme tu 618. relaxačný tréningový deň. Dneska sú zýbožroty 15, 15, 14, 14, 13, 13, 12, 12, 11, 11, predné, zadné, predné, zadné, predné a predné, zadné. Začíname 17.31 a idem dať prvú várku 15 z výbožrotov predné, zadné. Prvá série za nami. Dobre. Jo, DLC 14, 14. Zadné, predné. Neviem, čo sa deje. Šmáci preseli chodiť na obed. Balkon prázdny, Plečníka junior mŕtvy. 14, 14. Zadné, predné. Zase je za nami. Čo bude hovoriť tento pitches? A to čo? Ideme na to.
Do you know anything from a gravesite being here? Well, the dog actually alerted to right there, where it's leaned up against the tree.
Right here, see this? There's three big, which rubbish? In what way?
I'm not your dog. He's a dog. The dog, he's done.
Why didn't he want you to leave with your dad?
When 56-year-old James Jim T. Whitaker suddenly vanished, police believed their biggest concern would be unraveling the truth of what happened to him.
Uvidíme
As
tretia
they
séria.
moved deeper into the investigation,
13 scéna.
uncovered that this was just the beginning of a twisted case.
Predné, zadné.
Jim's disappearance would prove to be the catalyst in exposing a sickening secret that had been kept hidden for years.
That's something. Oh, who cares to be a smoke out? Yep.
It all began on the afternoon of July 25th, 2020, when sheriff's deputies in Hocking County, Ohio responded to reports of gunshots in a residential neighborhood.
How we doing?
We shot them. For you.
Mountain Road. She said you got a
The deputies were greeted by 18-year-old Melody Dixon and her father, 40-year-old Michael, or Mike as he was most often known. While Mike had been staying at his friend James Jim Whitaker's property for about 2 years, Melody had moved in about 4 months ago. While nothing may have seemed amiss with the father and daughter initially, police would likely look back at this interaction with concern later.
What'd you shoot in the head? What kind of ammo? Okay. That'd be terrific.
There was something far more alarming going on at this house than disruptive shooting. However, with the residents being so cooperative, the deputies had no reason to think that anything was amiss. They would soon realize just how wrong they were.
Was you shooting anything else?
That and the 22.
Okay.
We had only shot that once and I trailer hit the tree.
Okay.
Because I know they go far. It's like shooting a rifle, the new ones.
Well, it's no big deal. We had somebody that fired a gun and it struck a windshield. Nobody got hurt or anything like that.
The father and daughter were let off with a warning, and the deputies departed. Just a few short hours later, though, another deputy would be back at the same property under vastly different circumstances. Jim's family had called the police to report him missing.
This is my dad's property, Jim Whitaker.
Okay.
We haven't been able to communicate with him for 20-some days. He's not in his house, and something's happened to him. There's other people in here when we got here. They left about as soon as we got here. They didn't give us no answers on where he was.
The thing is, I know my son.
He's never done this. 56 years old, he's never just disappeared.
Jim's mother said she last talked to him at the beginning of the month, around the 4th of July.
Ideme štvrtá séria.
Spoke and had made plans to check in with each other the next day. But Jim never answered the phone again. While it was clear Jim was missing, police were likely alarmed to see that Mike and Melody had also vanished.
12,
The nature
predné,
of their
zadné.
relationship,
To sú
along
zadné,
with the reason
predné.
they decided to suddenly depart, raised more than a few questions. Jim's family had actually seen Mike acting suspiciously earlier, just after the deputies who responded to the reports of gunshots left.
He had a 50-pound bag of dog food in one hand, a dog, a live dog, a chainsaw, and he reached over and grabbed 5 arrows off of that thing that's out there and a pair of gloves.
Those were not the only items missing from the house. Some of Jim's things were missing too, including a firearm, a crossbow, and 2 TVs.
It's possible that he just took his personal possessions and ran
It's
this area.
very
Like,
unlikely. He has struggled
I
to keep this
understand.
house
I'm
for
saying it's a
years.
possibility.
It's a possibility.
Okay.
But he would have done that when my mom died, not now, just all of a sudden.
Okay.
Still trying to figure out exactly when Jim went missing, police also spoke with his friend Keith. While he provided interesting information, the story got even more bizarre. Keith claimed that Mike had showed him a strange note, allegedly written by Jim back on July 12th, 13 days earlier.
Mike came out, we were fiddling with something in the garage. Mike was fixing something and I was sitting there, he fiddling with it, he came in the house, and then he come back out, he's like, I just found this in Melody's stuff. And it sounded like an odd profession love to Mike's and his daughter, that girl Melody / nose.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Very weird.
it was signed Jimbo. I didn't think Jimmy ever signed his name Jimbo, you know.
Additionally, the handwriting didn't appear to match Jim's penmanship, and his mother and daughter both said the way it was written didn't sound like Jim at all. While they didn't know it just yet, this note would end up being a huge clue, helping to explain
Dobre, poslal ste
what happened to Jim.
11 správne
As
zaujímavé.
well, the timing of the note meant that Jim could have been missing for weeks at this point. It was clear that something wasn't right. Unfortunately, the most likely sources of answers were Mike and his daughter Melody, and they were nowhere to be found. The next day, several deputies and detectives from the sheriff's office returned with a warrant to Jim's property to conduct another search. What they uncovered made their hunt for Mike and Melody even more urgent.
What's in the basement?
That's where Michael was staying at, it's a bunch of crap.
Where what?
I can't remember where it was, it's dirty.
Who kicked in the door? I'm just trying to determine what was like it, what was new, that type of thing.
But that door is never been locked. Never, ever.
So this is,
Michael put that on there.
do you know why?
No, I have no idea why.
When the officers entered the basement and saw the conditions, they quickly realized that this would not be an easy search. One thing, however, likely stood out to them right away. Mike and Melody were both supposedly living here, but there was only one bed. While this was clearly concerning, it was only the tip of the disturbing iceberg when it came to Mike and Melody.
Strátil. Je to za nami. Ideme si na stylného držgaša. Lečníka Julina už nie je medzi nami tiež. Dobre, je to za nami. Zrekapitulujeme to. 618. relaxačný tréningový deň za nami bol 29.7.2025 útorok. Skončili sme 17.43, segment trval 13 minút a 30 sekúnd. Dlhší segment, ale som sa spomenul ako pičus.